The parable of the prodigal son. One day, Jesus, surrounded by his disciples and listeners, began to speak.
A certain man had 2 sons. The younger son, full of youthful confidence, approached his father and said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." Without a word of reproach, the father divided his estate between them. The younger son wasted no time gathering all he had. He left his home, dreaming of freedom. There, he recklessly squandered his wealth on a life of pleasure, indulging in all sorts of temporary joys without thinking of the consequences. But soon, his money was gone, and a severe famine struck the land, leaving him with nothing. Without resources, friends, or anyone to turn to, he found himself alone, destitute, and overwhelmed with despair. Seeking a way to survive, he hired himself out to a local man who sent him to feed pigs. This was a deep humiliation for him. Starving, he was even willing to eat the food given to the pigs. Then, he thought to himself, "How many of my father's hired servants have plenty of bread, while I am dying of hunger?" A spark of hope was kindled in his heart. He decided to return home, even as a servant, but at least under the shelter of his father's house. With the last of his strength, he set off on his journey back. While he was still far off, his father, who had been waiting and hoping all this time, saw him. The young man, filled with shame and repentance, fell to his knees and said, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father embraced him and exclaimed, "Bring for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. The best robe and put it on him." Meanwhile, the older son was in the field, working as he did every day. As he approached the house, he heard the sound of music and celebration. Stopping one of the servants, he asked, "What is happening?" The servant joyfully replied, "Your brother has returned." He went to his father and said, "Always obeying you, yet you never even gave me a young goat to celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours, who wasted everything on sinful living, returns, and you throw a feast for him." The father looked at him with love and said, "My son, you are always with me, and all that I have is yours. But we must rejoice, for your brother was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found."
One day, people gathered on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. As evening was coming to an end, Jesus turned to his disciples and said,
"Let us cross to the other side."
The disciples prepared the boat, set out from the shore, and the day began to fade. The waves gently rocked the vessel, and the air grew cool. Jesus, tired after a long day, lay down at the stern and fell asleep.
Jesus! 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 Jesus!
Peace, be still. Why are you afraid? Where is your faith?
What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?